Okay, here's my cake armature. It took me 3 trips to the hardware store, but I finally got it figured out. I used a handsaw to cut this wood, which is why it's kind of a little bit jagged. I've secured my metal rod with washers and nuts. I've also glued some feet on the bottom to lift it so the metal doesn't scratch the table. On the top of the armature, I have a wood board to hold up the cake body and another board to hold up the head. I've secured each connection with a nut and washer. Each nut needs to be screwed on as tight as possible. I can't put our cake directly on the surface, so it needs to be covered. I'm using a combination of moisture-proof cake foil and regular heavy-duty foil. Next up is covering the board. I'm brushing the board with a little water and draping fondant over the board to cover it. And I keep adding fondant until it's completely covered. To make my board a touch more fancy, I'm creating a stone effect on the fondant. While the fondant is still soft, create the stones by pressing into the fondant with a modeling tool. And I'm going to draw some attention to these stones by dusting them with a little food coloring dust. Next up is the cake. I wasn't sure how much cake I would need for this project, so I started with an 8-inch and 2 9-inch round cakes, and I began stacking them. I quickly realized that would not be enough cake, but luckily I had some more in the freezer. I'm covering the cake with my Swiss meringue buttercream and I chill it for about 30 minutes. After it's nice and cool, it's time to carve it. Here, I'm carving away the cake a little at a time to round out the edges. I give it another coating in buttercream and it goes back into the refrigerator to chill. While the cake is chilling, I prepare the belly. Since cake or cereal treats won't stick underneath the board, I've carved a piece of styrofoam into the shape of her belly. And I'm covering it in a piece of cake foil. My cake is out of the refrigerator and I can begin working on her neck. This part gets kind of sticky, so I've sprayed my hands with pan spray and I'm molding the rice cereal treats into a basic neck shape. Before I get too far along, I'm going to go ahead and attach the styrofoam so that I can better envision what she will look like. To help the cereal treat stay in place, I'm brushing a little corn syrup onto the board and then I begin forming her head. After I've shaped her head, I begin cutting my dragon's legs out of cake. I created a template using parchment paper and then I attach the leg to the cake with buttercream. And then I begin thinning it out. Next, I'm forming her front legs with modeling chocolate. And I begin covering the cereal treats with modeling chocolate too. This will help fill in any gaps and will create a smoother surface. You could also use buttercream or ganache here. And I'm using another piece of modeling chocolate to form her chin. My son is telling me that the dragon has a chicken leg, so we're gonna have to go back and fix that, which is an easy fix. We'll just go back and fill it in with some cake pop filling. And while I'm at it, I'm going to give her some bigger shoulders, a pointed back shape, and a tail. Her shape is really coming together now. I'm giving her one more coating in buttercream and I put her back into the refrigerator to chill. Onto the fondant. I've rolled up my fondant to about 1/4 inch thick. I'm draping it over my rolling pin and I'm placing it onto the cake. This is such an odd shaped cake that it will need to be covered in panels. I'm bringing the pieces of fondant together and I'm trimming them with my kitchen scissors. And then I repeat the same process on the other side. What's great about putting fondant over modeling chocolate is that you can easily smooth out the seams with your hands. And then I use a stray piece of fondant to smooth out any other imperfections. Let's give her some details. While the fondant is still soft, I'm creating a smile with a modeling tool, and then I also give her some scales using a coupler and a piping chip number 12 and number 5. And I continue covering my dragon in panels of fondant. After I get it completely covered, my partner shows up to help me with the scales, and together we cover her body in little circles. Let's move on to the airbrushing. I'm not an expert at this, but this airbrushing is really fun. This is an airbrush that I only use for cake decorating. I filled the cup with food coloring and I'm spraying the dragon with different shades of turquoise and pink. I want my dragon to have even more scale, so I'm rolling out some pink fondant, and I'm pressing 2 different types of impression mats into my fondant. I'm cutting out my circles and I attach them to the cake with edible glue. She's looking gorgeous. I've already cut out her eyes and I attached them to her face with edible glue. And I'm painting different shades of purple stripes in her eyes just to make her even more exquisite. She gets some sparkles in her eyes, and I line them in turquoise fondant. She needs eyelashes. To create her long lashes, I color a piece of wafer paper with a black food coloring marker. I cut it out in a rectangular shape, and then I use a small pair of scissors to cut small slits in the paper. I attach the lashes to the eye with edible glue, and then I trim them down with a small pair of scissors. Adding the details is one of my favorite parts of cake making. Here, I'm giving her nostrils and some teeth. This beautiful girl needs some horns, so I'm creating 2 horns that are very similar to how you'd make a unicorn horn. I roll out a log of fondant that is thicker in the middle. I bring the ends together and begin twisting. I then trim it and insert a lollipop stick that was brushed with edible glue. This is the most glamorous dragon I've ever seen. And now I'm wrapping a log of fondant around her horns and also attaching some smaller spikes on her back. She needs a little bit more bling. Here I'm attaching silver stars to her back leg. We're getting close to finishing. I modeled her feet out of fondant and attached her pink toenails. The wings are the final detail. I used my edible image printer to print out the wing design on wafer paper. If you don't have an edible image printer, you can buy colored wafer paper and cut it into the wing shape. Here I'm bending an 18 gauge covered wire to the same shape as my wings, and I attach it to the wing with water. I lightly brush the entire wing with more water, and I attach the 2 wings together so there's a front and back. I've rolled out a thin log of pink fondant and I attach it to the wing with water. It turned out so cute. And finally, I'm pushing the wings down into the cake. My dragon cake is complete. She is amazing. This is my favorite birthday cake of all time. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it and also learned how to make your own dragon cake. Don't forget that you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you have any ideas or suggestions for me, please tell me down in the comments section below. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!